Geula happening in the world, because you know what the Rebbe tells us, how it's supposed to look like, what's going on. And then you'll have this understanding, and then you can have chayos. And you can really have chayos in the heart. And ask my wife, she'll tell me that if I'm giving drushes and speaking like this, why am I depressed most of the time? But she'll talk to her about that. But at least, conceptually, I'm full of chayos, okay? When you see me over here, I'm for sure full of chayos. And let me try to share with you, and hopefully you'll keep that chayos pumping all the time. And hopefully we don't have to, because tonight we'll see the Rebbe already. Gashmi is mom is taking us out of Golas. So a chayim. So let me share just a little bit of something. And again, a lot of it has to do with thinking. A lot of this is my own interpretations. So I don't claim that this is Torah Sinai. If you like it, it's good. If you don't like it, it's also good. And fine. But it's definitely going to give you some entertainment, and it's going to be enjoyable and fun and exciting, and it's gewaldig. Okay? It might make you happy. So if you want to be sad and depressed, you probably need to run for the door right now. But if you listen, Ken Zayin, Chaim. If you go to the Sichos, Tafshin Nun, the Rebbe came to us. Tafshin Nun. The Rebbe came to us at that time, and the Rebbe told us, Yidden absurdatayim, absurdatagiyulah. The Rebbe said, Yigiyaz man gulaschem, the time of your redemption has arrived. Absurdatagiyulah. And that absurda just kept on coming to us, Shabbos after Shabbos. Now, we don't need anything other than the Rebbe saying it, but anybody that learns a little Hasidus and a little bit knowledge, we know that the timing is actually perfect in terms of the system. Because we know that Hashem created the world in 6 days and He rested on Shabbos. And we know what the Ramban says, and Chassidus brings it, the Rebbe Rashab has a whole mimer, with the Rebbe Rashab talks about it, how every day of creation is 1,000 years. So whatever happened on Sunday, when Hashem created the world, took place on 1,000 years of Sunday. So you come to the whole cheshbon. And then everything is a preparation for Shabbos. What Shabbos? Shabbos is going to be from the year 6,000 to the year 7,000. Then Shekule Shabbos. Now Moshiach, it's interesting. Moshiach is not part of Shabbos. Obviously, Moshiach's job is to come and prepare the world, as the Zohar says, to go into Shabbos. Just like Adam Arishon was created on Friday, and Adam is Moshiach. Adam, David, and Moshiach. So Adam Arishon was created on Friday to help all the creatures and creations prepare themselves to be able to go and greet Shabbos. So this man of Bias Mashiach is a Friday phenomenon, not a Shabbos phenomenon. So it's supposed to happen on Friday. Within Friday itself, we know there is, that the Rebbe Shabbos brings, there is 500 years, half of it is night, first is night, and then is day. So 500 years of Friday, from the year 5000 to the year 5500, is the nighttime, is Leil Shishi. Some people eat shalit already, but really, it's not the serious preparation yet for Shabbos. It's a little bit still disconnected. And that's from the year 1240, in the days of the Ramban, from the year 1240 to the year 1740. 1740 becomes Alois HaShachar, becomes crack of dawn. It's amazing. The Baal Shem Tov revealed himself in the year 1733. Because the Baal Shem Tov is already the Geula of Moshiach. So the Baal Shem Tov's mamish, the Baal Shem Tov is revealed for 26 years, from 1733 to 1760. Tafshin, whatever you want, the Chassid Shechevah can make the Hebrew dates. But it's a 26-year period, Gilui Shem Havaya. But what is it? It's mamish on the morning, it's the dawn, it's the break of dawn of Friday. It's the beginning of the revelation, it's the preparing for Mashiach. Then comes all the Rabbeim, and the Rebbe Rashab says that the Alter Rebbe, he counts it to the years. And he says the year that the Alter Rebbe's Chassidus Chabad exploded, he says the Rebbe Rashab brings, happened exactly when it's sunrise. Because the Alter Rebbe is the sun, Shemesh Havaya. And that's why the Alter Rebbe taught what? Achdos Havaya. Because what do you do when the sun rises? Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. So the Alter Rebbe teaches Yechudi Allah, Yechudi Tata. Until then we have no clue what that means. The Alter Rebbe explains our Achdos Havaya, because we're Taka holding at this man of the sun rising. But within the 500 years of day, there is Chatzos, the real preparation for Shabbos starts at Chatzos. That's 250 years later. 1750 plus 250 years, or the year 5500 plus 250, brings you to 5750, which 5750 is Tafshin Nun. which is 1990. So that's Mamish Chatzos. And that's when the Rebbe says, Igiyaz Mangoleschem. The world is, the time of the redemption is here. The Rebbe at that time points to certain events that happened. The two main events that the Rebbe was talking about that is indicating that the Geula is Mamish here. What are those two events? The Rebbe speaks about how the collapse of communism, which communism was the last superpower of Gullus, the last power to make Gezeros, like the Yavanim, to stop Judaism. That was the Russians, that was the Soviet Union. The fact that they were completely dismantled and they came apart, and the whole thing, and the Rebbe explained how it happened without a single bullet. The Rebbe said, this is Mamish Moshiach in operation. This is Geula. This is the Geula unfolding in front of our eyes. The other big event that Rebbe spoke about was the Persian War, where everybody in the world got together, all the nations of the world came down to take a tyrant, anti-Semite, to take him down and destroy him. Fine, these were the two big events. A third event that the Rebbe doesn't talk about, but it's obvious to us now because we saw the development of it. In 1990, 1991 is when the internet rolled out. It's exactly the time when the World Wide Web went on, which we know that's Kimola Aretz, Deus Hashem. That created the infrastructure for us to be able to teach the entire world. Every person can teach the entire world. I give shiurim on YouTube and think that people from Yehup, places from the farthest place, no way to reach these people. But with the internet, every person can become literally everyone. And imagine, the Keli is all the preparation for Moshiach. So these are all things that Rebbe spoke about, which are happening at that time, that Geula, and these are all, the Rebbe didn't speak of them as like, it's showing that the Segula for the Geula. The Rebbe was saying that this is Mamish events that are Moshiach in play. Fine. But then came the stunning sichos of Tavshin Nun Beis. And I'm going to share with you just a few of them. So just to get a perspective, so it will help us understand what I think is going on, and again in the last 30 years, which helps us tremendously be able to have clarity so that we can be excited, we can be really, that nothing was derailed, chas v'shalom, nothing ever went off, and we don't have to give these knechts when we talk. We don't have to sigh under this like, oy, because deep inside we feel and we know everything is taka working the way it's supposed to work, albeit we would not agree to it. And this is not what the Eibishter does, but at least when you step us back a little bit and you look at the whole thing, you can make some sense out of it and see that it's not a part of an unfolding of something. So what happened? In Tavshin Nun Beis Parshas Noach, the Rebbe drops a bomb. And I think I want to share something very interesting. The sichos that Rebbe drops in Tavshin Nun Beis, one after another, was such incredible statements that we as Chassidim couldn't even process it. We couldn't process it then because we learned to say chis and then came another one, and then came another one, and came another one. And maybe the time we had time to process it was from after the Rebbe's stroke till Nun Dalet, because we were still learning, to a certain degree, we're learning the sichos then, and we're still excited. Then Nun Dalet happened, and Gimel Tammuz happened, and then it kind of flew in the face of everything that it says in those sichos. So either you became incredibly stubborn, and you kind of froze in the moment of Nun, not froze, but became burnt, if you might say. In Nun Aleph and Nun Beis, and that's where you did. You slapped a big Yechi on your head with a fed, and that's where you are, screaming Yechi, because you haven't moved away from that spot. Then a bunch of other people, they listen, I can't process this, so what do I do with this? So instead, it's too painful. So we took the sichos and we put it on the side. We can't learn it because we don't make sense of it. So we kind of like, we have other things to do. We have a lot of good things to do. So I think Pashut simply that mashpiyah, we didn't really study these sichos well, and maybe some people did, but I think definitely there's work to do between us, Anash, Chassidim, to increase our learning, because Gavaldik. So in Parshas Noach, the Rebbe drops a bomb over there. The Rebbe says all the avodah that the Yidden were supposed to do to bring Moshiach up Ketan, done. Torah mitzvahs that we still need, out Ketan. And even if our person needs to fix things, it's all personal fixing. But the collective experience of the Jewish people, which needed certain amount of Torah mitzvahs to produce the Geula, we've done it. And the Rebbe says, at Tshuva we did, and so on and so forth. The only thing the Rebbe says now, it's in the hands of Moshiach Tzidkenu. Ein adavar that's taloi elo b'Mashiach atzmo. It's totally a Mashiach. Fine. Fast forward, the Rebbe suggests Kiddush Levana. Very interesting. The Rebbe suggests avoid of Kiddush Levana. Shehem Hasidim was Chadish Kamoisa. You go out, and it's Kabbalas Pnei Mashiach. That's what it is. And that's kind of in Pashas Noach, the Rebbe suddenly is talking about the importance of having massive Kiddush Levana with the Rikudim, with dancing. And the Rebbe explains that means to be Makabel Pnei Moshiach. Fine. Comes Pashas Vayeda 2 weeks later. Lech Lecha is also stunning, but just going to focus. Vayeda, the Rebbe drops a bomb like this. That we always knew that Moshiach is amongst us, that there's a person in the world that's ready to be Moshiach, the Metzias of Moshiach, but that Metzias was not revealed. The Rebbe says in Pashas Vayeda that now we're holding in a place that not only is Moshiach, the existence of Moshiach here in the world, but that existence of, and the Rebbe says particularly, a person as Mizera Beis David, a person, a descendant of Beis David, who has the potential to be Moshiach, and when it comes the time, Hashem will reveal himself to him and tell him, Du bist the Goel. So the Rebbe says, that Moshiach is now activated, and he's presently revealed. That's what the Rebbe said. The Moshiach is Bizgalus. He's not only B'Metzias, he's Bizgalus. Obviously, we all knew then who the Rebbe was talking about. When the Rebbe was saying that Moshiach is Bizgalus, fine. The Rebbe said it in Pashas Vayeda. Then comes Pashas Chayesara, Kinnis HaShluchim. The Rebbe comes and tells the Shluchim, you should know all your work that we've done till now as Shluchim. Fighting, done. Shlichus is now being upgraded. You have one job left. One job left. What's your avodah? You will have to go back to your cities, wherever you are, and teach your communities about Moshiach, so that your people in your communities will be ready to welcome Moshiach b'poyel mamish. Okay, there's different explanations, different people understand that differently, what that means to welcome Moshiach. Okay, I'm not getting even into that, but the Rebbe said that that's the only thing that's left. We're here, Shluchim have a job, bring your communities together, because only when the people come to welcome Mashiach will Mashiach be able to finish his job, which means to take the Yidden out of Golos. Fine, that was Chayesai. Comes Pashas Toldos. This week, the Rebbe drops a bomb. The Rebbe says, what's the Inyan of Mashiach? The Nekud of Mashiach, the biggest Inyan about Mashiach is the moment Mashiach reveals himself. That's called the Ruch Shel Mashiach. Ruch Shel Mashiach is the essence of Mashiach revealed in the world. The essence of Mashiach unplugs the essence of every Jew. And right now, the Rebbe said, the essence of every Yid, the essence of Mashiach is already revealed. Since the Ruch Shel Mashiach is already revealed in the world, after the Ruch of Mashiach, once the essence of Mashiach is here, will come the next level called Oiroi Shel Mashiach, the light of Mashiach. What's the light of Mashiach? Mashiach's light is Mashiach's effect on the world through his actions. That you see the Pa'ulos of Mashiach, that Mashiach is impacting the world. He's doing things and you know that it's Mashiach doing it. Fast forward, Pashas Mishpatim comes, and the Rebbe says, we spoke about that the essence of Mashiach is revealed. And we also said that that's the main, and now will come Oida Shel Mashiach. So the Rebbe then goes in Pashas Mishpatim and says that the nuclear disarmament that was taking place in the UN, and who came then? Yeltsin came, and Bush, and these, and all the superpowers, and they agreed on a disarmament. This is, you should know, a direct effect of Mashiach Tzedkenu. The Rebbe says, why didn't the nations think about this before? But says, it's a mugadig sikh, beautiful, amazing sikh. Why didn't anybody? It makes so much sense that nations should get together and use their resources to help humanity. Why would you fight with each other? The Rebbe says, how come that you didn't think about it? The Rebbe says, because you need Torah to change the seichel of the world. And who is the one who completes that Torah change of the world? That's Moshiach. So therefore, until now, people weren't thinking like this. But since Moshiach is now already revealed in the world, and the Rebbe then spoke about the Rabbanim gave a psak din about Cheskas Moshiach. So therefore, that's why it's happening in the city of the Nasi Hadar. That's why. Why is this conference taking place in New York? Because that's where the Nasi Hadar, the Moshiach of the generation, lives. And that's the reason why it's happening. Wait, and I'm getting to the point. But the Rebbe says in Pashas Mishpatim, after all of this is a chiddush. It's a great novelty. What's the novelty? It's a chiddush that there didn't come yet a hayra b'negeya to building the third base. Tells us for what the Rebbe is saying. The Rebbe is saying, "Machanal's get done. Everything is done. Everything is ready. Moshiach is already shoylit on the umay sa'olam. He's already v'yasakin olam. He's already masakin the world." What does the Rambam say? The next thing that's supposed to happen. There's Yamid Melech Mebeis David, Hoyge B'Torah, Yaakov Kol Yisrael. He compels the Jewish people to keep Torah mitzvahs. He fights the wars. And what's the next thing? The Yivnei Beis Hamikdash. So on that Sikha, the Rebbe says, is a Chiddush that we still did not get the Hayrah. It's almost like the Rebbe is standing in front of us and telling us, I am waiting for a Hayrah to build the Beis HaMikdash, but Vos Kemeton, we still didn't receive that Hayrah. Something like that is the Lashon, you can see it inside. Comes Parshas Teruma. It's like amazing how the Rebbe has like certain statements he makes one week, and the next week he says, oh, that's already accomplished. Parshas Teruma, the Rebbe gives a stunning sikha, you can learn it. The Rebbe says that today's days, Yidden Pashut have to make an ishtadlus to be rich. Every Yid has to work. A Yid, there's no excuse anymore to be poor. Every Yid has to be a millionaire. And the Rebbe says part of that is because we need to build the third Beis HaMikdash. So we need a lot of gold and we need a lot of silver. In other words, the Rebbe is starting a campaign to build the Beis HaMikdash. Not in the literal sense, but he's already kind of activating that. So this is where the Rebbe takes us. After that, we all know the Rebbe has a stroke, and then the Rebbe has another stroke, and then comes Gimel Tammuz, and blah, darkness. Okay, so I want to take you for one moment over here. So we're standing over here. Now, I want to, just in case people can have chas v'sholom a suffix, if the Rebbe says something, if it's real, we all know. We're all believing in it. I just want to share with you one tiny little story that is stunning. But Chassidim all know this, but in this story it brings it out. There was a chassid, his name was Moshiach Ashkenazi. I think he was the father of Ramotel Ashkenazi. The Rav of he came once in the early, he was in the early years by the Rebbe of Yechidus. At the end of the Yechidus, he asked a bunch of questions, the Rebbe answered him. At the end of the Yechidus, he forgot one of the minus the Rebbe told him. So he sent an etzettel asking the Rebbe Mechila, but since he forgot something the Rebbe told him, he wants that the Rebbe maybe can remind him what it was, the answer that he gave him, so that he can write it down and have it with him. The Rebbe answered him these words: B'shas Yechidus, Shechina, ... In other words, at the time of Yechidus, Shechina medaber. The Rebbe didn't want to say the full words. Shechina medaber is meteikuraynai. When I'm sitting over there doing it, I'm speaking. It's not me speaking. The Eibush there, the Shechina is speaking through me. And therefore, if you come to me now, which is not time of Yechidus, after what I said, I don't necessarily know what I said. Because at the time of Yechidus, this is what I'm saying, Shechina medaber. So if the Rebbe is sitting by Yechidus with one person, and imagine the Rebbe is sitting by the Farbreng and speaking, is there any doubt that Shechina medaberes metechroinish shal Moshe, that this is the Eibishter speaking through the Rebbe? So therefore, there's no question that if the Rebbe says this is where we're holding, this is where we're holding. So oy bazoi, pause, 30 years, concealments and darkness. So till now, I said to you what the Rebbe says. I'm going to give you a little bit of some thoughts of possible what looks like it. What looks like we're going through. Okay, there's an interesting Rabbeinu Bachaya in the end of Pasha Shemois. Rabbeinu Bachaya tells us, you can look it up, the last piece of Rabbeinu Bachaya in the end of Pasha Shemois. He compares the last Geula to the first Geula. And he says, just like the first Geula, the Goyal came, and he gave the Jewish people the Besudas HaGeula, the redemption. The Besudah, the redemption. And then what happened to him? Then he disappeared. He left town. He wasn't here. And the people, and at that time when he left town, when Moshe wasn't there, Golus became unbearable. And the Tichbad Avoida, they started more persecuting. More Jews were built into the walls. Horrible of horrible. The worst period of Golus was after the Goyal came. But then, obviously he came later, and the Medrash says the Goyal is compared to a deer. The deer is revealed, he's concealed, and then he's revealed again. Nigla, the nichse, the choizer, the nigla. So he says, Kach yeh Goyal achrei. The Goyal achrei is going to come and he's going to reveal himself. And he's going to be concealed. By the way, I don't like to quote this, but it's important, because without this, I feel we lose completely. Because it says, remember when this time in Nun Dalet, we were all expecting the Rebbe to go away for a month and come back. We were expecting it, but that's where the Medrash says in Shir Hashirim, 45 days is a time of concealment of Moshiach. But then other guys, our hopes were high. We were expecting it to happen. It didn't happen. No, it's not happening. It's a long time. So it's very interesting. There's a Rashi, the last Rashi in Daniel. You can look it up. Last Rashi, I'll tell you where it is. Rashi says there is a certain period of time. It's called on the pasuk Ashrei Hamachake. So Rashi says there is a period of time Sha'asid Malkeinu Mishichenu Lehiskasas, that after he will reveal himself. And on that time is when we say Ashrei HaMechaker. Fortunate are those who don't let their hearts go dark in that period of time, but to keep the Amunah alive, to keep strong and strong, even though it's very challenging. Rashi says an amount of time, which we haven't passed yet, let's just say. I'm not saying the time, because Rashi's a little too, the time is still a little bit away, and we don't want to be here for another second. And we don't have to fulfill the Rashi Makola Pidrinkis. But I'm just saying that it's not outside of the concept of Nigla, V'chayzev, and Nigla. But Rabbeinu B'chaya says something fascinating. He says, why does Moshiach hide after he comes to bring the Geula? Not to make us tzaddis, chas v'shalom. And maybe he doesn't say it's because of an Nisayan for us. He doesn't say it. What he does say is lahatois esa umais, to confuse the nations, that they should think that Moshiach is down. They should think that they have triumphed over Moshiach and the Geula will not happen. So if you take a look, you see something stunning. If we were standing at that moment where Mashiach's next job is actually to go and build the Beis HaMikdash, what do you think? Alle choleres, the Klippus and the Sitra Achra, that know that the moment the Beis HaMikdash is built, as Ruach HaTuma Avim in Haaretz, the spirit of impurity is going to remove from the world. So you can understand that the ultimate mission is going to become one thing and one thing only. And that is to not allow the Beis HaMikdash to be built on that hilltop in Yerushalayim. On this, they're going to give their entire energies to make sure that that is not going to happen. Because this, if Moshiach can do the next move, they're gone. So there is going to be a massive fight, and the Rebbe himself speaks about it. In Tafshin and Aleph, the Rebbe says, I'm saying that what we're saying over here, that Moshiach is coming and coming. The Rebbe says in a few places. And yet we see there are certain darknesses in the world that are happening. So the Rebbe says, Adarab. That's because the koiches of the other side are seeing that they're being destroyed. And one of them is in Parshas Bereshis Nun Aleph. So the Rebbe says, it's because they are coming and they want to stop the Geula. And he says, the word the Rebbe says, and the chutzpah the Rebbe says, is that they're speaking chas v'sholem about Yerushalayim. That they want to take Yerushalayim away from you. And the Rebbe says, and that's the meaning, and the Rebbe quotes the pasuk, Lama rakshu goy. Why are the nations in the world making a commotion? And that, but the Rebbe says it's never going to happen. Yoshev b'shamayim yischak. The Eibishter laughs at them, and the Eibishter will take all their plans and make ashen parach out of it. He will make a joke out of it. He will splinter them. He will break them. The Rebbe says it's going to, but there is a back. You have to realize that there is going to be a massive. So what happens, Taka? After the Rebbe's, after Nun Beis, even before Nun Dalet, even before Gimel Talis, after the Rebbe's stroke. So September of 1993, Bill Clinton invites Yasser Arafat with Yitzhak Rabin for the famous handshake on the White House lawn, which on that handshake, it was the Oslo Accords were signed, even though it didn't resolve the issues, but it laid the platform for a two-state solution of Palestine and a state of Israel side by side. And with the but let's understand something. The Arabs, and we're just going to get to the Nakuda, because the Arabs, the Palestinians, they're not satisfied. First of all, we know they expose themselves. They say from the river to the sea, they really want it all. There's no question. But even if we are to believe that if they get what they want, they will be satisfied, what do they want? They want their state, but the Tanai, an absolute fundamental part of that thing is that they must have their capital in Jerusalem. Okay, Jerusalem is a nice city. You can split the city of Jerusalem. We'll take our part and they'll take their part. Okay, place with a corner of Yerushalayim. Chas v'sholom, of course, the Rebbe says is the worst idea we can do. You give the Arabs even an inch of land. But let's imagine hypothetically. Problem is that that's not what they want. They want, they're asking to a split. But their split should be East Jerusalem versus West Jerusalem. So let me tell you what West Jerusalem is. West Jerusalem is where the Knesset is. West Jerusalem is where King George Street is. What's East Jerusalem? That's the Kislev Rabbi. That's Ir Atika. But more than everything else, that's the Har HaBayis, and that's the Makam HaMikdash. So you watch something stunning happening. From when the Rebbe said, we're already standing ready to build the Beis HaMikdash, the world got together, the entire world. The UN, the European Union, the American State Department, first with Clinton, and then with all the consecutive presidents. And the thing was to force Israel to concessions that they should give up and should finally relinquish Harabais. And it was only going. Now I don't know if the people down here were making these cheshbonos that Lubavitch should ever. Obviously, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that when Goyim do things down here, it's because Lamaila above, their Sadim, their ministers, are trying to do something, and that's what raised them a cup down here to do what they're doing. And an amazing illustration of that was the last days of Obama. This goes to 2016. I want to tell you how amazing this is. January 15th, 5 days before Trump's inauguration. Okay? January 2017. The inauguration was on 2017. January 15 of 2017. 5 days before Trump's inauguration. In Paris, they called a meeting. And their meeting, you can look it up, I looked it up before I came here because I want to remember this. Their meeting was a gathering of 70 nations. 70 nations. Mamish fitting the concept that there are 70 nations. According to what it says, I think the Rabbi even mentioned it, that Goig Magog is Gematria 70. In other words, Goig Magog is a war of the 70 nations to stop the Geula. So it's amazing. 70 nations, and they were led by Kerry, and led by, like it says there, Kerry. So this is Chodesh over there. And they were going to do, they were going to have a conference, and basically and part of the agenda was to decide the status of Jerusalem. And you read up on the articles there how Netanyahu was fighting it. He doesn't want to go. He's angry. He tells them, how dare you, France, do that? Just a little while ago, UNESCO went and completely and wrote whatever they passed a resolution, and in their resolution they declare that Al-Aqsa, the mountain and all of that, they only talk about in shaykhs to the Arabs. They don't even mention, when there's clear evidence of all the archaeology and everything, that there's Schwarz and Weiss, that this is a place where Jews were, our Batei Mikdash were there. Completely obliterated. So Israel is saying, how dare you? Anyway, story is, but you see how there was mamish, a ganging up of all forces. Now, as Obama was ready to leave office, we're not going to talk about it, because why do we talk about the whatever. But Razi was ready to leave office, mamish at the end of his term, by the election. Who was he supposed to hand over the baton to? He was handed over the baton to Hillary Clinton. And she would have completed it. The Orach Chaim HaKadosh, there's an amazing Orach Chaim, where the Orach Chaim says that he once had a dream, and he saw that he was wrestling with the male Sitra Achra, just like in Kedusha there's male and female, the whole system. He was wrestling with the male. It's one of the parshas. The Orach Chaim brings this. He was fighting, and he was able to wrestle and knock down the male klipa. But then he saw the female klipa. And with her, he couldn't defeat her. With her, he couldn't defeat her. That's what he says, because he says in Klippas, the female is much stronger than the man. In that case, Rachmana litzlan, they were so close. They were so close to literally choking Israel to death and forcing Israel out of the entire international world. Was literally, they were completely ready to pop their champagne already. And literally declare, Farbreng, no Beis HaMikdash, nothing. This is where they were so close. What does the pasuk say? Yoshev b'shamayim yischak, the Eibishter lach. It doesn't say that the Eibishter, and it says the Eibishter plays with them. Yischak also means he plays. No, it doesn't say that the Eibishter is going to destroy. It says that the Eibishter is going to laugh at them. Because one thing they did not see coming. I ask you, I try not, the Chassidish don't do this. The women can do this. But maybe if you waste a little time and you want to laugh, you can do this. And what is, you can look online on Google. There's something called funniest compilations of Trump campaign. Okay, you can watch it. It's stunning. It's not stunned that they're saying probably not. from the entire, every single person who's Amanda Amar, every single person who has a microphone, from senators, take even Rubio. Imagine, Rubio is now put as, he said, he's laughing. He said Trump will never be. This one says it will never be. From the Democrats to the Republicans, from the impossibility, never gonna happen. It's a joke. Senator Graham and every newscaster, they're laughing. They burst out laughing at even the idea that it would be possible. And then comes the night of, and suddenly, kabunga, out of nowhere, a guy who suddenly makes a whole mockery of their entire thing, comes President of the United States, and we all know the story. They're fighting him tooth and nail. They don't know what to do with the guy. And what does he do? We know. First of all, he takes the Palestinians and he kicks them out of Washington. Then he takes and he defunds UNRWA. Then he goes and he declares Yerushalayim the capital of the Jewish people. He frees Rubashkin a week later, right? Remember that. He declares the Golan Heights as part of it. Everything that they were fighting to keep in place, it's unbelievable. And he's doing thing after thing, and we wonder, like, how did this happen? America's pundits, everybody's trying to wrap their mind. What kind of thing could have allowed a person like this to come in? You'll say, okay, this is politics, the United States, was hat das mit der Moshiach, was hat das mit den Rebben? First of all, and then in the end of his term, what does he do? He creates a peace, the Abraham Accords. Amazing. Country after country after country are lining up, making peace with it. Things that everybody said is impossible, and it has nothing to do with the Palestinian problem. And if not for him going out of office, the Chodesh would have continued and continued. Right? This is what's going on. So you can't, now you can say, okay, something happening in the world. The Rebbe gave us glasses. The Rebbe said, Machav de'oiv, see what's happening. Now, one of the important tenets of the Rebbe's Sichos, you can see it, you can learn it in the Nun Aleph Sichos, so strongly. Pashas Vayetze, Nun Aleph. Nun Aleph, Pashas Vayetze. And many other Sichos. The Rebbe talks befedish that the Geula, and we see it in Chassidus, that what? That the Geula happens as a partnership of Yaakov and Esav together. It's not just Yaakov. It's not some tzaddik going to come from the sky and build a Beis HaMikdash. It has to do with the tikkun of the world. The world has to participate. And Dafke Edom has to participate. And Dafke Esav has to participate. And that's why Yaakov went to the Geula, and Yaakov sends messages to Esav. And then Yaakov realized that Esav is not ready. But for us at Lavai, Esav will be ready. I don't have to tell you the similarities of Donald Trump to Esav. You can accept whatever you like or not, but it's probably pretty much accurate if you take a look. A recent one, which I found, which is very interesting, which maybe is that he has two things. Number one, you see in him that for whatever reason he can't stand that the Jews don't approve of it. You see, he goes crazy on that. What you would think is the Jews are not so many people. Okay, Jews have money, but other than that, why is he so crazy that he doesn't get recognition from the Jews? It's almost like he still has trauma from Yaakov. He's still bothered by it, deeply. Another thing you see about him, very interesting, is that he loves calling people's names. He plays with people's names, right? Every single person, he makes a name for them. What do you find this week in the parsha? He messed with me 2 times. He called him Yaakov. You see, he's a name caller. He lives with that. That's his thing. So I'm not going to go into whether he's a Gilgal of him or not. But it's hard not to see how the Eibishter took and flipped the whole thing over. But I'm saying it's the Rebbe. Why am I saying it's the Rebbe? So there's a lot of simanim, which are really interesting, which I think is very important. We're going to wrap it up soon, but I think this is really fascinating. If you take a look and you see the dates associated with things that he did, you can see both what he did and the elements that happened in his life or in his presidency. It's all amazing, aligned with Chassidish dates. For instance, the day that the official electoral college came about in 2016 and had to officially give their stamp that he is going to be the next president. I don't remember the English date, you can look it up. It was Yud Tes Kislev. As on Yud Tes Kislev was the day, which is the Rebbe says the essence of the tikkun of the world, the essence of Chiddush of the Torah. On Yud Tes Kislev is the day of the initial certification when they certified. That was in 2016. What happened in 2017 on Yud Tes Kislev? What happened? You know what happened? Trump stood on the White House lawn, and in Yerushalayim, it was Yudches Kislev over here. But in Yerushalayim, it was already Yudches Kislev. And that's when he announced his big announcement that he's recognizing Jerusalem as the eternal capital of the Jewish people. Now we know this is not a joke. The Alter Rebbe, Chassidus Chabad, it's not stam a preparation for Mashiach. Our Rabbein is the Rebbe Rashab said it. This is Malchus based David. And when it comes to Yerushalayim, in Yerushalayim, V'chisei David. So much so that the Eibishter calls Yerushalayim. Hashem says from the day, from all the time, Loi Bacharti, I didn't choose in any city. Or Bacharti, something like that. And then he chooses David. So he should say, I choose Yerushalayim. The answer is David is Yerushalayim, and Yerushalayim is David. So the fact that on Yudches Kislev, out of all days, where's Yerushalayim? Then on Zois Chanukah is when he freed Rabbi. Zois Chanukah is not after Lubavitch Yontif Ali, but he frees a Lubavitch Chassid. And you should know, who can tell me another day that we felt Moshiach's arrival, like when the Jewish people celebrated Rabashkin's. We danced, it exploded. So it's like a field to Moshiach. Chassidim, Misnagdim, Lakewood, Polish, everybody was dancing. And suddenly there was a moment of such achdus, such unity. It was a spark of Geula, a spark of Moshiach. Devour. Then Hey Tevis Dita Natzach is when he issued and struck Soleimani. Soleimani's chief terrorist. Couldn't pick any other day. Dafke the Rebbe's day of Dita Natzach, Soleimani. And Yud Shvat, by the way, a year later, is when they impeached him. The day that they handed down the final thing that they vindicated him. When they tried to impeach him. The day that they handed out, Vaiti Yud Shvat. I had a whole list of like 16 things. It's mamish as if he has a calendar of Chabad, and every time he checks he's going to do something. He says, when is the next Rebbe date that he can do this? It's stunning. If you really open if you're there, it's mamish Gilia Lakuz. Al Satam in the Rebbe. But what happened? And you know what? And the Shaykhis is also obvious. Because the night before he won the election, when everybody was still predicting impossible that he's going to win, what happened the night before? His daughter Ivanka, together with Jared, went to the oil and went to David, and it's video, and the night before, in 2016, when he won the election. So there's clear Shaykhis mitten in heaven, and there's a clear that the Rebbe Machton, and Naftali always said, the Rebbe feared the Welt. You can see it. Good. What do you think? The Klippus and Sitra Achra are going to take this, sitting down. They're going to let this go. Has there ever been a person in the world persecuted like that man? Has there ever? They try to figure out who else besides. It's crazy what they did to him from 2020 until 2024. The Redifus. Every single thing you can possibly do to completely destroy him. And you have to realize, it's very important to understand, that the war wasn't only about Palestine and Israel. The entire war, question, if you're looking in Perek Beis in Tehillim that talks about this war, the fight against the Eibishter and against the Moshiach. What are the words the Pasuk say? The Pasuk says, let us take the ropes of the Eibishter, let's throw off the ropes, the chains that chain us. You see that this entire movement was a movement that is not only against Israel, it's against every bit of morality and decency and the basic tenets that keep a normal world, a world that has just basic family values of the basic thing. They want to destroy it all. And it's so weird because the Palestinians, they stand for the Islamists, for the Islamic fascists, who are the total opposite, and yet after that, they side with it. This whole woke progressive movement, which is such a klippa, fighting the basic tenets, it all becomes one package, and it's all fighting. And they know that the one person they need to take down is him. So what do? They fight him. They impeached him and impeached him. And then there was insurrection, and then there was trial after trial after trial after trial. They had dragged him through the mud for an entire week in Manhattan, for a few weeks in Manhattan. Dafka to be mashpelin, a mugshat, and a this. And for some reason, he has a Chassidish Beindel, this guy. Every single thing he's able to turn around. He goes and he makes his mugshot of merch and a thing and it does. And something's exploding. And until you have that, until nothing less than literally, I don't know who's behind. I'm not trying to be conspiracist over here. Whether it was Tama Meshugana or not, it's hard to believe that it was Tama Meshugana who actually pulled the trigger and laterally shot at him. And if not for the Eibishter himself moving his head like this, the man would have been dead. So we saw that. We saw that with our own eyes. And then, against all odds and against all things, he's reelected. When everybody said it's impossible, even his best friends left him in 2020 after he acted stubbornly and after he was going to. Everybody said, Meshuggah, what did we all think? Maybe besides me, but not at all. I know deep inside it can't be that this is over. But what was the thing? He's going to die an old, angry man. He's going to go, the man, and for whatever reason, watch. And what happens? This is stunning. Do you realize that the most powerful person now, by the way, he's the kingmaker. Now, alle kumin kushnem. Alle, they're all coming. Trudeau came, and the lady from Mexico came. They're all trembling. Everybody is scared because the last time he had minimal power. This time he's got the Senate, he's got the House, he's got the Supreme Court, he's got everybody, and he won the popular vote. He's got a mandate. He's got Elon Musk. He's got this one. He's got this one. Every day they're looking, and they can't believe what they're seeing. How he's setting up a team with a thing. And he's not even president, and he's running the entire world. Now. But the moment of it all was the moment, imagine this, the most powerful person in the world came himself and walked on October 7th on the Hay, Tishrei, and came to the Rebbe and he stood in it. He didn't go to the Pshayel Kislev, and he didn't go to the Menachem and Uman, and he didn't go to this Rebbe and to visit the Baba Rebbe and the Satmar Rebbe and anything. He came to one place. And there's really no explanation other than Mazlayu Chazi, his Mazel sees that that's where he's going to have success. And this time he didn't come. He sent his daughter. He went himself. And we all know that on that day, you can look this up, the Poly Market was where they were betting that he was going to win. Suddenly, on that day, he shoots up. And Mamish, you can actually see like this. A few days before, she's beating him. And then when it comes to October, under Rosh Hashanah, interesting. Look, Mamish under Rosh Hashanah, he takes a tiny bit. You see how the Yidden with our Avodah changes things. He takes a tiny bit of an increase on her second day of Rosh Hashanah. And then, but 2, 3, 4 days, but still, he's hugging Mamish like 50-50. These people are betting that he'll be president. That she will be, he bets are equal. When it comes October 7th, suddenly he shoots up 5 points, 6 points, 7 points. She's going down at the other line. He's going higher. Azay. By the time you're done 2 weeks later, they're betting on him 65. It reached even 66. She's at 34, 33. It's stunning. And even people noticing it. And Shapiro noticed it right away. And others are noticing. And on the night of the election, I was watching. I was in New York. And I'm standing there and I'm saying, what's going to happen? So I was a little nervous, of course. I'm watching. So I decided, what am I going to watch? I was in Crown Heights. I watched Ben Shapiro sitting with the thing. And out of all things, he announces something. When he realizes that he's not winning, he announces and he says, you know when it happened? He laughs. You know when it happened? The moment it happened was when I stood with him and he bursts out laughing at the graveside of Rabbi Menachem Shneerson. I stood at his place, and it's that moment that he won the election. It's unbelievable. We said prayers, talk about divine intervention or something like that. He mentioned. It's stunning, and suddenly Kertzachadel. So, what do we see? We're seeing the Rebbe left. This is. In other words, they tried to stop it, and now it's finished. That's what's so exciting now. They're done. It's farting. And who did he put around him? Around him, he has every single person he appointed are people that are not Yidden. They're Esav. One after another. Esav Shabbat, all Esavs. Meaning all these type of people. And yet every single one of them, they are so pro Beis Hamikdash. They're pro their land being the ancestral land of the Jewish people. Because it's our land, not because of anything else. They laugh at the idea that there is any colonialism and the Jews took a land that's not theirs. This is the land the Eibishter gave to the Jewish people. They all declare it, whether it's Sebastian Gorka, or whether it's Huckabee, or whether it's this, one after another. And one guy's even saying, the guy who's going to be Secretary of Defense, he's talking about building a Beis HaMikdash. I mean, this, we have to be dreaming. Wer macht das? How is this all done? It's Kaval. It's unbelievable. There is no question that what we're watching is Pashit, Zverts, Kerzich, a ganze Welt. The whole world is turning over. It's being a Didan Natzach. We're watching incredible power. And here's my last Chiddush. I'll leave you with this. This one you'll actually throw ketchup in my face. But because I love it so much, I'm going to share it with you. This just happened to me Thursday last week. I went on a hike, and I was on the hike on a mountain. I think that the nitzutzis that we elevated, sometimes they come out and they give you inspiration. So I dafk in Hollywood, because Hollywood is the lowest of all places. So that's where when we, the highest nitzutzi kedusha here, especially when you want to have an understanding of the sapcha, of the klippus. So I was walking with my wife on the hike. Oh, by the way, I have to tell you one thing very interesting. The president, here's the crown, the jewel of all of this. Okay, here's amazing. He was president. Which president was he? President 45, and he wasn't 46, but he's 47. So my Rebbe, she's a bigger Kabbalist than me. So she tells me, she says, you know why he's 45? You have to say B'Shem Oim, right? I'm not embarrassed to say my Rebbe's title. She tells me, you know why he's 45 and 47 and not 46? Because if you take 4 and 5, by the way, it has all to do with 45 is Shem Ma, and Ma is Mevarer Ban. So the completion of the koyach of Ma, which is the koyachis of Yidden, Torah and Mitzvahs, is to fix Esa. So that makes sense. But in addition to that, 45, she says, 4 and 5 together equals 9. And MS. But 9 is the Rebbe. Why is 9 the Rebbe? Because the Rebbe is the 9th. Well, Shem Tov the Magid. The Rebbe is the 9th. So number 9 is the Rebbe. What other number is the Rebbe's number? 7. But also number 11. Everything about the Rebbe is number 11. The Rebbe is number 11. The Rebbe is born on Yud Aleph. The Rebbe is born on Yud Aleph. Nisan. The Rebbe became Rebbe in Tavshin Yud Aleph. On Chodesh Shvat, which is Chodesh Ashtei Yasar Yud Aleph. And in which day the Rebbe says that the Frierdiker Rebbe is Yud. That's why his name starts with Yud, Yosef Yitzchak. So the Frierdiker Rebbe is the Shleimus of Yud, Shleimus of Seder Ishtalshalus. But the Rebbe says, these are incredible sichas. You only get in an Aleph Nun Beis. But the Rebbe goes ahead and the Rebbe says how the continuation of the Frierdiker Rebbe is number 11. Obviously, he's talking about himself. The Rebbe number 11. And he says that the Rebbe became Rebbe on which day? On the 11th day of the 11th month of the 11th year. And you know what else is interesting? What time did the Rebbe say Basi Legani? What time? 10:40 the Rebbe started Basi Legani, which is in the 11th hour. And the Rebbe was probably saying Basi Legani right when it became 11 o'clock of the 11th day of the 11th month. So the Rebbe is number 11. And the Rebbe explains how 11 is believable, is limitless, ufaratzta. There's no limitations and no boundaries. So therefore he had to be number 9. And the difference last time, 9 is still within the gather of Seder Ishtalshalus. 11 is what? Is no Ishtalshalus at all. Believable, power without an end. Unbelievable. So here's another interesting thing. You see that these two powers, 9 and 11, are the powers that the Klippa used as part of their massive dark fight. Because which day was the biggest day that the Klippa was the most successful besides Rahman al-Islam, October 7th? But the Simchas Torah, let's say, but the was 9/11 because everything is Zelu Umazeh Aselikim. So they came and fought on 9/11 the powers, but the Rebbe's power is 9 and 11, and Upgemat, complete decimation. But here's a very interesting thing, and that is how many years is it? So now let's take it back to the Chodesh Kislev. The Rebbe had his heart attack on the Chodesh Kislev. It wasn't just. Which year was it? Tavshin Lamed Ches. What did Moshe Rabbeinu say to the Eibishter when the Eibishter came to Moshe Rabbeinu and he said to him, Zat Moichel Moshe, go take the Yidden out of Mitzrayim. What did Moshe say? Shlach no biyad Tishlach. Send in the hand of Tishlach. So, and we all know, Rosh Hashanah, when is the manifestation of everything we accomplished Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur? When does it all download? Shmini Atzeret. Chassidus explains that everything we accomplish, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, even Sukkot. Sukkot comes down in Makif. When does it come down? It's very shaykh to say that on that time, on the Rebbe's heart attack, this had to do with an increase of the Rebbe's neshama as Geula of the Jewish people, that it came down with such whatever, which caused the heart attack, and therefore these powers. And by the way, I saw in the Sikha, touched in Chayas Sada last week, the Rebbe, when the Rebbe's talking to the Shluchim, the Rebbe says that Tafshin Bey is a very special year. The Rebbe says it's Yad Tishlach. So the Rebbe is referring to, it's Shlach no B'Yad Tishlach. The Rebbe says that year, when the Rebbe is telling the Shluchim, go get everybody ready, is Yad Tishlach. So something happened by the Rebbe's heart attack. And there's Chodesh Kislev, when the Rebbe comes back, boom. So there's almost like a new energy of Moshiach then coming. Oh, so how many years is it now since Tashalam Ches? 47, which is the president now. If we needed to have an underlying scripture of the Rebbe putting his signature on it, 47. Because the Rebbe's arbit, the Rebbe put his signature on it. The Rebbe mach kertavel. And the last crazy thing, if you're not crazy enough, I'll leave you with an absolute mishigas. But you know what? It's good. It's good. And here's the thing. Who helped him suddenly, out of nowhere? I mean, without this person, there absolutely he couldn't have won this election. Remember, they tried to kick him off social media. That's one of the things they tried. To muzzle him, shut him up. Suddenly, out of nowhere, this billionaire, the richest person in the entire world, comes and he buys Twitter, opens him up, gives him a voice. And it's funny, remember, I don't know if you remember, at the beginning when he did it, they were fighting with each other. He insulted him. But yet, he tries it and he gives him Elon Musk. And this Elon Musk, actually, you know, when he didn't endorse anybody, but when did he endorse him? Right when they shot him. And he stood up and yelled, fight, fight. He was so nispol, because he said this, I heard him on an interview, he says, you cannot fake that. When you're shot, at that moment, and every person would be so submission. The fact that he stood up with such, that's a real leader. And that's when he decided to throw his hat behind him. Full cut, pumped in millions of dollars, gave him the power, like kind of, Elon Musk, that is that, why suddenly, so this is my Chiddush on the Hollywood Hills. And you'll mamish laugh, think I'm crazy, but this is, if you take everything in the Sikhs, and you realize that these are not spiritual inyanim, these are inyanim that the Rebbe means b'poyel mamish b'gashmias, because that's Moshiach. Moshiach is when everything in Israel manifests where? On earth. So what happened? Tachton. So take a look. The Rebbe explains that in number 11 there's two dargas. There's the lower level of number 11 and there's the higher level of number 11. The higher level of number 11, the Rebbe says, is the darga, the highest, deepest, and that's mamish, the ultimate Moshiach. And the Rebbe connects it, that level of number 11 began, the Rebbe connected to his Messias, on the day of the Istalkus of the Rebbe. When Rebbe Simchaya Mushka passed away, the Rebbe connects it to women, and that is the deepest, and Dafka her Avodah was spoiled by number 11 to open up even a deeper part of him, mamish, the essence of the essence of the essence, which is mamish Mashiach. And then the Rebbe goes and connects it to her name. And the Rebbe says her name is two names, Chaya and Mushka. And the Rebbe says that Mushka, the Rebbe says Mushka is a reach. It smells. And that reach, he says, represents the or Chaya is the or pnimi. It goes into a pnimius. And musk, the Rebbe says, is from the word musk. And in the Ha'ara, in Tafshin Nun, there's a longer Ha'ara, I checked it up today, where the Rebbe goes through a whole shayla. In Gemara it says musk. The Rif has a gear, so the Rebbe says mushka. But really the original one is musk. And musk is a reach, and that's the power of number 11, and that's why it's in Ketores. Ketores is 11, and that represents his hapcha, the complete conversion, deep flipping over of the kaiches of evil to kedusha. That's all related to mushka, to musk. So I'm saying, who's this musk? Musk. Does. That's number 11. Has to do with mushka. Doesn't it? Not. And you think wait. Wait till you think of
But there's more.
Wait. And his first name is Elon. First of all, how does he have a Jewish name? It's strange. But the other thing is that Elon starts with, what are the first two letters? Yud Aleph. Yud Aleph. The power of Yud Aleph. Now, hear this. So I found him in the parsha today. Found him in the parsha. We learned in Chassidus that Esav, Dafke Esav, is connected to the power of 11. Because Dafke Klippa is connected to the Koiches Makifen. Yud Aleph Kislev the Mesaufsu. In Kedusha the number is 10. In Klippas and Sitra Achra the number is what? 11. So, and the Rebbe says that only 11 of Kedusha, Chad V'loi B'chushban, can flip Esav. And that's why when Esav came to Yitzchak, why did the Alter Rebbe explain? He wanted to bench Esav because he saw in him the Makif, and that's why Vayorach sniffed him, the Reach of Esav, and that's what gave him the bracha because he wanted to tap that. So I'm thinking to myself, where did Esav get this power of number 11? So this week in the parsha, Vayikach Esav went and he took as Basmas, Bas Elon. And that there is this wife of Esav. Her name is Basmas, which Basmas is Besamim. And Bas, she's who? Elon. So if you're looking for Elon Musk in the parsha, and where it is, and more than that, this is the power, and Yatakasi. Is there a person that has koyach on the whole world? The whole world. Because he has this act, he has mamish, limitless power. And together, Esav and him, so to speak, as we said, like together, there's a pond over here that they're gonna build the base on. They're ready to go. Geld felt nicht. Money felt nicht. They're gonna try. It's unbelievable.
What about permits?
So we see, man. Right?
Permits.
That's going to be a problem with the Israeli government. The permits. Well, basically, why is it important? Because we have to start seeing these are not jokes. I'm being funny because I'm getting excited and I'm trying to find. Now, I don't know if all my picture kiss are true. I don't know. The Chassidim, especially the very, very stiff Chassidim, will get very nervous at these times. But that's okay. The ikir is, guys, chevra, the ikir is to realize and to know. As when we saw 30 years ago, the Rebbe said things. See, it bothers me when we can't interpret anything for 30 years. And this, how do you expect anybody to be excited about anything? Oh, you're be excited that 30 years ago communism fell. I saw a clip of Rabbi Yoel. This is the problem. I just saw a clip of Rabbi Yoel on Tafshin Nun Daled. Rabbi Yoel was talking on Nun Daled there, and he's talking about the Elder Chassidim. And he tells them, he says, Bochenim kommen in 770, kommen für die ganze Welt. And sitzt da ein Elder Chassid, der redt von Tafresh Amach Beis. And an Elder Chassid speaks about Tafresh Beis. And the other one is speaking of Tafshin Tzadik Ches. And the Tafresh Tzadik Ches. And the other one is speaking of Tafshin Yud. And he says, even Chassid speaking about Tafshin Lamed Ches. He says, but that's not what the Bochenim want. They don't want a museum. They don't want an old. They want current. And he says these words. Weismer Heim wie der Rebbe is literally in charge of whole Seder Ishtalshalos, turning over the whole world. Show it to me today. This is important. We have to be able to see it now, not just as an old story. Okay. So someone has got to risk it and put their neck out. So, but listen, the main thing is whatever I say. Yeah, no, it's not so negay all the details of it. It's just spicier and more entertaining and interesting. But the main thing is chas v'sholem for us to believe for 1 second that the Rebbe lost it, meaning lost the reins of it. He was holding it, he had it, he was going to take the entire world, and then the Rebbe told us the time of the Geula is here. Moshiach Tzedkenu is here. He's already sitting by the table. Pashas Vayetze, the Rebbe says, we're sitting at the first time the Rebbe says it. We're sitting with Moshiach Tzedkenu together with the Shoyr HaBoyred, the Leviasin. Everything is here. It's just that the Rebbe sees the Inyanim in essence, and it takes 30 years in the world to unfold. So this is the reality. Mamish Moshiach is coming. The Geula is Mamish here. We have to just open our eyes. And the main thing that helps is when we juice up our own hearts. When we allow our hearts to believe again. When we allow our hearts to get excited again. When we feel that it's Taka Azoy, be'emes, and we can make tumble sauces in the street, and make kulias and kerzach, and this, That's what brings Moshiach. That's what's going to do the final. Let's get the simcha. Let's realize takaz. So the Eivster should help. This is Chodesh Kislev 47. Should be the Freddie the Full. And we shouldn't have to even have no Trump, Schmump, Salzgard. The main thing is we should have our Rebbe who take us to the Geula. And just take us, bring us to the Beis Hamikdash, build the Beis Hamikdash. We'll dance forever and ever. Chaim al Bracha.
Amen. Yechia dinenu min Rabbeinu Malcham Sheikh Leil Hoed.
Amen. Yechia dinenu min Rabbeinu Malcham Sheikh.
Yechia dinenu min Rabbeinu Malcham Sheikh Leil Hoed.
Yechia dinenu min Rabbeinu Malcham Sheikh.
Yechia dinenu min Rabbeinu Malcham Sheikh Leil Hoed.
Yechia dinenu min Rabbeinu Malcham Sheikh.
Before leaving.